Hi guys, Kenny here, and today we're going to do a bit more of camera talk. I've done a lot of these before, and if you don't know, now you will. I used to have a little channel called Stoner Camera Reviews, and I used to smoke a lot of pot while I reviewed cameras. So look up Stoner Camera Reviews if you are particularly interested in the camera end of things. I did some wacko stuff like getting high and develop a roll of film. I don't do that anymore, but I will still talk about cameras. And it's a nice little break because the winter's been, not winter. We're not even winter yet. The fall has taken a turn, I guess. Things are a little wetter out there. And I'm staying in the garage a little bit more, working on some more space. And the reason for this space is I'm contemplating, here's my mindset, I'm contemplating buying a second motorcycle. And I haven't got one in mind yet. And I don't know if I really want to do it because I really don't want to give up the garage space. On another episode down the road, I might just show you guys what's in my garage as far as things go on two wheels. But we're going to focus on cameras today. But that's where I am right now. Tomorrow, I hopefully will be receiving my DNA air filter for the Royal Enfield Bullet 350. I ordered the filter without the little intake cover because I'm cheap. But to be honest, like I really just wanted to replace my air filter. The air filter in here is coming up to 10,000 kilometers, and I want to swap it out. But I just was like, I don't really want to buy like another paper filter. Maybe I'll go a little bouge and spend a little time. But I did not buy the air cover. How do you call it? Like a cover. And it's essentially a snorkel in here right now, but it opens up to a larger aperture intake for the air intake. But in all honesty, I really don't think I'm going to get that much power out of it. I really just want it because I think it's a good way to go because I don't have to buy any more air filters. So I'm looking at it at I'm trying to look at it anyways as a very pragmatic way to save money, which is a stupid idea. But here we are. Once the DNA air filter comes in on the Bullet 350, I want to install it and obviously see how it goes and maybe take it out when the weather gets nice. So that's where I'm right now. But tonight, I'm trying a little different lighting. I'm in my garage, which is well lit. I moved into this house about 3 years ago, and the previous motorcyclist that lived here had a Can-Am. He was up there in age. He had a Can-Am in here, and I think he did have a bit of a shop set up. There's still like some oil. Maybe I'll try and take a picture in a little bit. But there's some oil in the ceiling. I don't know how he got up there, but it's very well lit. So hopefully this shows up on the camera. But it's a nice little space, and it would be great to get a second motorcycle in here to work on. I would not have any issues with lighting. It's very bright in here. But I'm not sure how I feel about getting something with carbs, and I don't know if I want to take on a project. Yeah, so anyways, it's fun. I'm looking at motorcycles, and just to top off, I really like what I've seen so far. What have I seen so far that I like? The Suzuki S40. It's a single thumper, 650 still. Really like a big bike with a very classic standard sitting position. The other one was the V-Star 650. More of a cruiser, but it's a bigger, heavier bike and lower to the ground, which I might appreciate. And I don't know, something. It's a fun little winter activity, I guess. I'll look at things. I don't know if you guys are Canadian or even in Ontario region, you might have remembered the Auto Trader catalogs or magazines. They had a motorcycle trader, I think. But man, I used to like work at a gas station, and I'd come in on my shift, slap an edition on the counter, and in my free spare time, just look over cars, motorcycles. I remember I used to do that obsessively. So that's enough of that. I'm sure there's more things to come on the motorcycle end of things, especially when I get my air filter tomorrow. It was supposed to be delivered today, but got delayed. I ordered it from Hitchcock's in the UK, and I have no idea how much to pay for duty. It stresses me out to think about how much I might have to pay out of my pocket for like taxes, duty, customs. But I really didn't feel like buying anything from the US. So it's coming from the UK. And surprisingly, I think I ordered on Sunday night, and it only took it's Wednesday. It's going to take less than a week. So that's pretty impressive. Yeah, so the camera I want to talk about today, this is my segue into camera talk. So this is camera talk. The Nikon FE in chrome and in black. This one I've got a lens on it, but I could take it off. Why am I talking about this camera, the Nikon FE in chrome and black? Because it is so good that I bought it twice in two different colors. The reason I'm talking about this is it is by far, in my experience, one of the best bang for buck manual film cameras. If you're interested in manual focus, if you're interested in shooting film, in my experience, this has been the biggest bang for the buck. And I love talking about cameras, and it's nice for me to talk about cameras in this channel because sometimes when I'm vlogging, and I'm trying to vlog very casually, I mean, I'm not putting any production value into any of this stuff. So this is the setup here I got today. But like, it's nice because I kind of feel like I know what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to cameras. And sometimes I feel like I have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to motorcycles, and hopefully this balances things out. But here we are. The Nikon FE, why I feel like it's such a good bang for the buck for a manual film camera. And I think if anybody were to come up to me these days and say, hey, I'm looking for a good manual solid camera, what would you recommend? I recommend the Nikon FE. Reason for that? It is not very expensive. This is the first generation. Both of these are the first generation of the Nikon FE. There's a generation 2, the FE2. I think it has a little logo here, FE2 or something of that sort. And they're pricier, but this gets the job done. This, I believe, has a lower shutter speed of 1,000. But that's all you need. That's all you need to experience photographing on a film camera for the very first time. And, you know, there's a lot of parallels with motorcycles and cameras I'm discovering. Because sometimes your first camera, and if you're going to explore the realm of manual film photography, buy something that's a good bang for the buck. That is, you're not going to worry about getting it scratched up. You're not worrying about getting it lost or stolen. Doesn't cost a whole lot of money, and it's durable, right? So, reasons that I think this is the cat's ass when it comes to film cameras. Now, if you look at a lot of film cameras out there, there are Nikon and there are Canon. There's some Pentax cameras, but I feel like the later generation of Pentax manual film cameras have, there's so few of them, and they really kind of drop behind in the tech end of things. Not that a camera like this is all about tech, but it is by far the best bang for the buck because it's, I don't know, like you could probably spend about $100, $150 and get a camera like this without a lens, but a camera like this. And I'll tell you right off the bat, like an FM2, a Nikon FE is going to be close to $500. This is Canadian dollars we're talking about. Do you need to spend that money? Well, you don't have to. Honestly, this FE is fantastic. The Nikon FE, there's the most recent iteration, the FM3A, I did have, and I owned it at some point. But what's so great about these is the viewfinder. The diodes in there just gives you a plus on exposure and a minus on exposure. It's well lit. So essentially, if you look in the viewfinder, you look on the right side, there's a plus for overexposure. There's a little 0 for even exposure and a little minus for underexposure. That's it. It's simple. You just have to glance at it. And I find whenever I did have the Nikon manual cameras that had the exposure meter in the camera, you have to read like the shutter speeds, and then there's like a red arrow and a red needle and a black needle giving you the selected exposure and what the camera meter is telling you. It's a lot of information that you got to really kind of take time to read in a screen like this, right? So they're a little trickier to use. And with these Nikon FM series, the FM FE series, the lenses are abundant out there. You can easily find a lens within your budget range. The FE is known to be, they are electronic. So the FE is electronic, FM is for mechanical. So the difference between those two is that the shutter is controlled and triggered electronically versus mechanically. Why did Nikon decide to go electronic and mechanical? That kind of escapes me right now. I don't know why they did that. I think it was to incorporate additional features, especially when it came to like auto exposure. And this FE version may have, because it's got the red light up diodes, maybe that's the electrical part in the FE series. I'm not completely sure, to be honest with you. I'm not sure about why Nikon had a split between their FE and FM mechanical lines. Having said that, I will go over the basic functions and features of the camera. So here, this is how you open the back of the camera. There's a good way to tell if you have film. Just flip these dials and there's no film in there. So you open up the camera. There is your shutter and your back plate. To load the camera in, you drop the canister in here and wind the reel over. And you might have to fire a few shots, but this is how you roll the film on. You can stick a little leader in there, wind that on, close your camera, your locking pin is down, and advance to the start. And it's a little counter here that gives you S for start. And once you get there, you're ready to shoot. You would just meter, and then depending on the aperture you want to set, which is the aperture on the lens itself here, you got the aperture, you got the shutter speed, and all that is going to do is when you're out there metering, it's going to give you the diode to give you a plus for overexposure, a perfect circle for a even exposure, and a minus for a underexposure. Focus, take your shot, wind, go to the next shot, and you're set to go. If you want to pick things up a bit, Nikon also offers a mechanical drive that you can slap on the bottom here, and that gives you automatic winding. It takes, I believe, 4 AA batteries. It's quite a chunky piece of equipment down here, but it allows you to shoot at a faster pace. But, I mean, you might not want to do that these days. Film is very expensive to shoot. I got it in chrome and black because I just love this camera so much. Oh, I almost forgot about this. Oh my gosh. You know what? Wow. I'm so full of crap. I thought these were both FEs, but this is an FE. The chrome is the FE. The black one is the FM. So, geez, it's been a while since I've touched these cameras, but all right, here we go. Subtle differences between the FE and the FM. Again, I don't think I'm going to be able to figure out how to differentiate why Nikon went to the mechanical versus the electronic for their models. And this is in the 80s, right? I think. So, but it is my theory and my thinking on the spot here that the E allows you aperture auto exposure. So there's an auto mode here, whereas the FM just has your manual modes. The FE also has a needle in there. So I am totally wrong. The FE versions do have a needle on the left side as your light meter. So if you prefer to have the diodes, FM is the way to go. If you prefer to have the needle, it's the FE. Now, this makes total sense because the FE has the light meter needle because it also drives that needle to the proper exposure. So once you switch to auto and you start shooting, there's a needle in there that indicates your desired shutter speed. So FE, you get the needle, you get a little battery check button here, and that lights up, telling you the battery is good. You have an ISO selector here, whereas ISO on the FM is in the window. Price point wise, oh, I forgot to mention, the FE does have a multiple exposure little lever. So you pull this, it doesn't wind the film. It allows you to recock the shutter, take a second shot, or 3 shots, or 4 shots. It just does, it stops allowing you to take multiple exposures on a single frame of film. Man, I might as well have been smoking pot because I totally thought these were the same camera, but this is the FM, this is the FE. Dimensionality, they're both the same. Okay. It doesn't change a whole lot here. I want to mention these two, but either the FM or the FE, they're both very similar in price. So they're anywhere between like $75 to $150 Canadian. Do find one in good working condition. The things you want to check out for are, if you are buying a camera, shutter speeds. They need to be fairly accurate. This is a lot easier once you can examine, I guess, a working camera and gauge the shutter speeds. So, you know, for example, if I drive this to 1 second, you want to make sure all your shutter speeds are working correctly, right? You want to make sure this is winding. You want to make sure there isn't any teeth missing on the take-up reels. Obviously, check if there's power. In the case of the Nikon FE, this is a battery chamber for the little chiclet type style silver oxide batteries. You want to make sure that lights up and it meters, so you can bring it to an overexposure or underexposure. If that's all working, your meter should be fairly accurate. Other than that, bring a lens you can test out on. And I think that's pretty much it. You might want to look for a viewfinder that's not too messy or gunked up on the inside. These viewfinders are not interchangeable. The FE has an interchangeable screen, focusing screen, and also a way to clean out, because you can pop these guys out to clean the inner prisms. The Nikon FM does not. So I don't know. I don't believe there's an easy way to get the screen out of the Nikon FM. So you're kind of stuck with that unless you bring it to someone who can fix these. The cool thing about these cameras is if you find a camera store, an old guy in a camera store, there is still a way to get these fixed. So these old cameras are a marvel. They just last. And I've owned these cameras for well over a decade and a half, and they've just been fantastic little cameras to own. I don't shoot them nearly as much these days. They are delegated to my Shelf Queen camera collection, just for the simple fact that shooting film is a little bit, not gonna lie, shooting film and getting them developed when you have two young small kids, you don't really want, I personally don't want to spend that kind of money. It starts to feel a little greedy and selfish, but then again, I also ride a motorcycle. None of this makes sense, okay, guys? I mean, like a roll of film now costs more than a pack of cigarettes. If you consider the cost of buying a roll of film and developing it, yeah, it's more expensive than smoking. So, per shot, you get 35 shots on a roll of 35. You get 36 exposures. How many cigarettes do you get? Like 25? Works out to be the same, but if you add the developing, prices through the roof. So Nikon FE and FM, I would totally recommend either of these cameras if you want to go down the path of manual exposure on film or manual focusing on film. So highly recommend these. If you have any questions about these, please ask and let me know. But this would be my go-to for sure. The only last thing I do want to mention is that you can use modern Nikon F-mount cameras lenses if it has the aperture ring. Okay, so any Nikon autofocus lenses that still have the aperture ring, and you want to look for AFD lenses, they allow you, they essentially have a switchable locking mechanism that locks it into an automatic mode, but you switch it off and it allows you to change the apertures. Very easy way to find out is just grab a Nikon lens that's autofocus, look for the aperture ring. And if you still have an aperture ring, you can mount it. And Nikon has been traditionally very conservative with their changes, and they try to make, for a period of time, a lot of the cameras cross-compatible. So, these are lenses that have decades in production. So lots of stuff you can find. That's it. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks. Take care. And go Blue Jays.